Okay. Okay. So it's working. All right. Banners, comments, brand, banners, brand, settings. Oh, wait a minute. Invite somebody. Uh, hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. Just finished a long 10-hour shift. I'm very tired.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's just long working fast food, man.
Yeah, okay, why is it doing that? Okay. All right. Talk to me again just for a second.
Long day at work.
Okay. No,
Boring.
I sorry not to interrupt you, but I was trying to make
Test the
sure my
levels.
sound went through these things and not through that thing.
Right, I understand.
No, I went to dialysis and I had a game this afternoon.
Oh, what was the game?
Fifth edition. Somebody else was running it. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I just and my in-laws played.
Oh boy.
They actually really like it, and that's just like blowing my mind. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's RPGs are for everyone. I think a lot of people would like it if they just tried it.
Yeah, he kind of joked about it before my wife died, but when I said, "Hey, you want to try it?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, I thought he was joking. I seriously thought he was just like, "Oh, I'm not going to really do it," but he actually did. And his wife said, "Yeah, sure, might as well. You're here. I'm got nothing else better to do." Same both main characters, and a few weeks later, somebody else is running the game, and we're playing, and they're doing their thing, and I'm like, "Okay, if that's how this is going to be, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, it's always fun to hop onto a game like that, kind of out of nowhere. That's there's a fifth edition game I'm playing. I just messaged a friend randomly, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we have an open spot." I said, "Oh, you mind if I hop in?" Sure. Now I really enjoy that character, so that was a good little thing that happened.
Yeah.
I got a new book in the mail today.
Ah.
Yeah, very nice. I'll go get it.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want my meds to fall over. Okay. Lenin as Philosopher by Anton Panikowic. I think I mentioned Panikowic last time.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Yeah, he's
did.
dope. This is like a philosophical critique of Lenin and Leninism, so that's pretty sweet. It's written in the 40s, I think. From the looks of it, it's pretty crunchy.
Using a gaming term to describe a
Well, it feels like it could be pretty front heavy, but
ah, yeah.
I don't know. It's very in the philosophical tradition of things. So it's probably going to be a hard read, but it'll equip me very well to talk to these people and sort of, you know, finally have some actual philosophical base to debate the Trotskyists that dominate my school's local Marxist scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of Trots at my university.
Yeah, I don't know what's at mine, but I'm sure you mentioned the word Marx, you're probably going to get shot by somebody at the school I'm going to go to.
Why?
Because I live in southern Arizona.
Oh, right.
But oh yeah, did you know that the Navy, U.S. Navy, leaked out? Somebody leaked out a memo stating that neo-Nazis, right-wing extremists, and anarchists are all terrorists.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah,
That's a huge bummer, dude. Because anarchists do so much mutual aid, like help.
yeah, it's like it already was
crisis.
bothering. It's like when they went into Iraq. They're like, "Oh, Shia, Sunni, they're all the same thing." Oh no,
my friend.
no.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, I know.
It's like wars have been fought over that.
Yeah, they've had a few. I don't want to say gang fights because that's not the right word. Intersectional conflicts at. I'm gonna. Oh man, it's the name. Medina. They've had a number of those.
Quite a few, I would imagine, over the years.
Arabic for city.
Man, I'm kind of bummed. We didn't get to play almost any of the games I was in this week. Like mine fell through, and my buddies also fell through. So we ended up just playing the one game that I played the Paladin in, which was cool. We met this we were traveling in the sewers of the city of Neverwinter looking for some guy called Zeegrim the Bomber who was going to blow up large portions of the city unless the prince agreed to talk to the rebels. So we found him and managed to convince him not to do that and instead seek redemption at my estate through learning. So that was really cool. We didn't have to fight him. That's always a fun turn of events when you don't have to fight the villain. You know, you get to talk him down. Somebody cast Full Person on him. We tied him up, and we're just like rhetoric, and he succumbed to the sheer philosophical will of my character.
I love in the game I'm playing in. It's kind of funny because everybody's like, we got rid of the zombies. We got rid of the unnatural creatures running around. Then there were some cultists that just were really not safe people. So we kind of had to dispatch them. But it's going to be interesting because we have a dragon to deal with next week.
We the last arc before we were in the sewers, we fought a green dragon. It was pretty eventful. He was just vibing on the ruins of this town. We killed him. Uh-huh. We brought his body back to the forest to help with the growth of the forest, right? Because green dragon bodies apparently do that. I don't know. And skinned it and turned its body into different pieces of armor and stuff. It was pretty cool. Everybody got magic gear. Dragon gear.
When I hear green dragon, all I can think of is that old ad, Green Giant.
Oh, for the vegetables.
Yeah, for the vegetables.
He was a lot meaner than the Green Giant.
I'm quite sure.
It's pretty
and
cool.
He wasn't corporate sponsored either.
True.
Of course, that would be a funny thing if they came out with that. Yes, he's got the template of corporate sponsorship.
Oh, man.
You look really tired, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty wiped from today. But I spent part of it because I work with a colleague who I go to school with. so we always talk about big brain shit. So like on top of working, the job, like I'm also thinking of big brain shit. And he's not a leftist, so we have like constant debates at work, and
Yeah.
it's a little draining. I'm being honest. It can be a little draining.
I was watching this guy called RPG Pundit,
Okay.
and oh man, this guy, he was like, everybody who wants to make RPGs that aren't centered on white men, he flips out on.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, don't play it.
Yeah, it's not hard.
What's dragging you off to some gulag to play this thing? Just don't play it. I think part of the problem is he's actually a producer of RPG stuff, and he doesn't like the competition. And it's like, well, that's what capitalism is all about. If you don't like that, may I offer the thing you can't stand?
Yeah, seriously.
And he kept on going, Maoism, communism. It's like, if he had spent it at random words, it would have made more sense.
Pretty much.
That's how.
And it's funny because aren't the Maoists like really homophobic and like bigoted?
I have no idea. I've never met a Maoist. I think I saw one clip about one guy once, so I can't say anything. But
most of these tankies is like consider a lot of the social justice stuff to be bourgeois ideology. So,
well, I mean, you're gonna get. See, that's the thing. That's my biggest issue with all of this. And I'm not going to call myself the, as one person put it, the unicorn of leftist unity, but yeah, there are going to be people out there that say some crazy stuff. I mean, you're going to get that. It doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on, how far you're on it. You're going to get people like that.
Well, the tankies and the authoritarians are usually pretty socially conservative, and yeah, I've run into quite a few like that. Not all of them are. Like Trotskyists are usually a bit better. Like the student groups in my university are a bit better than that. But I've met some pretty gross authoritarian leftists who think that LGBTQ issues are bourgeois ideology and that it has to be suppressed. And I'm like, fuck, dude, that's me.
Wow.
I'm not interested in being suppressed.
I mean, I prefer anarchism personally, but
yeah,
there are people. I've met some like Marxist-Leninists who are actually pretty decent. So
some of them are all right, but I just can't get behind the idea of the vanguard, this group of specialist revolutionaries who dictate the revolution for the working class. It's like, no,
I don't think that's right. But see, here's the problem, and I think the Spanish Revolution kind of pointed it out to me. They didn't have any leaders, and they got quashed.
Well, they had Durruti, right? They got screwed over because they just didn't have the military might to withstand their enemies. Because the leadership was pretty good, because you had the POUM and you had the CNT-FIA. Now the POUM was like a proper political party. The CNT-FIA was organized like a loosely kind of coalition of labor unions and things like that, with Durruti as the figurehead. But they get screwed over because the Stalinists just show up and arrest everybody. And like Dove will talk about how there's a deeper philosophical problem that leads to the Spanish Revolution failing.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% on board with Dove's analysis there. I think it's a little nearsighted, but in EndNotes Journal 1, another group will counter Gilles Dove, and it's a good dialogue. Yeah, I don't know. Anarchism is just more dynamic, more flexible, prone to grassroots organizing, just all the good stuff.
yeah.
So I usually get down with anarchists way before I'm willing to work with authoritarian leftists, just because like they'll squish revolution when it's actually happening. You know, the Communist Party in France told the workers to go back to work during the insurrections. It's like, well, what are you doing? You're kind of Like there's an actual insurrection happening, and you're telling your workers to return to the factories and stop protesting. Makes no sense.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb.
Oh, what am I planning for this week? I haven't gotten much further with my my writing, but for the next session, they're all currently they're scrambling to get to the car keys to get out of where they are. But I gotta find a way to screw them over so they stay. So even if they get the car running and they manage to go, someone's gonna chase them down, I think, and knock them off the road, total the car, drag them out, bring them back to the town square, and start fucking executing people. Should be exciting. Then they're going to be tasked with because the whole point is like there's all these different factions, right? They're in the northern part of the province, so that's like the Quebecois militia controls it. So when they were plagued by these guys called Gerald's Boys, who are a marauding gang of rovers and roving gang of marauders. Yes. And so they're going to do. They've shown up. Gerald's Boys have shown up. They've surrounded most of the area, cut off all the exits. Yeah, they're going to start beating people to death, and then the MRQ, the armed forces, are going to show up, scare them off, and then they're going to go, look, we just lost our logistics master, and things aren't looking too good. Could you please help us with, set a trap for them so that we can get rid of these guys once and for all? And then the ARC is going to be preparing for that battle. Should be interesting. To me, like a Mad Max style confrontation. Lots of cars, lots of crashes, things flying in the air.
Now, I'm assuming the thing you're running is that in 5th edition or is that GURPS?
It's GURPS. It's GURPS. Yeah, always GURPS. I've never run anything else.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never run a D&D campaign. The first campaign I ran was the tank game. That was with GURPS because I couldn't find a good system to run it otherwise. Really liked it and said, I'm going to run my next game in GURPS too.
Wow.
And yeah, here we are like a year and a half, 2 years later, and I'm still running GURPS, still loving GURPS. Let's see here. I got character sheets for everybody. NDG campaign NDG. Where are we at? It's pretty cool. I have these two characters. They're like Russian brothers who hopped the border from Alaska during the border conflict there, and made it to Montreal to get as far away from the conflict as possible. And then the apocalypse happens, of course. So they've been stuck there ever since. And they're kind of like the caretakers of the house that the party stays at. Stuff's going to come up with. There's 2 missions I have for them to do with those brothers. The first one is getting a machine gun delivered to the house. The second mission is more interesting. It's that one of the brothers is been off his meds now for 5 years, and he starts to lose it. And they need to go find replacement meds for him.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of because the whole campaign kind of started as a short story that I was writing about a depressed guy without his meds during the apocalypse, with his friends living in this house, and his job was to take watch all the time. So it was just him and his computer, and he would just write about what he saw and what was going on. And when it came time to start a second campaign, I was like, apocalypse sounds pretty cool. So I adapted it from the short story a bit. So that's where that mission kind of originates from. It originates from that character. Unnamed, now has the name Simonov. So yeah, that should be interesting. I'm going to have to scour the wasteland for some antidepressants and some antipsychotics. I wonder how I'm going to resolve that. Some drug lord somewhere in the north.
Yeah, sounds like a plan there.
Well,
I'm just trying to get my in-laws be in the same group as my group that I was playing with, so I don't have to run anything.
Yeah,
for a little while.
Take a break
it's
from
kind of
GM.
nice. Yeah, so I ran for a lot, and then I just kind of burn out hardcore, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I would like to play a GURPS game eventually, and that sounds like it would be a lot of fun. But for now, I'm content running the game. Like, I don't. I got a buddy who runs games too, but he's like very much in the I'm the greatest DM of all time kind of thing. And
Oh,
yeah, he's a really nice
Yeah.
guy. But anyways, more importantly, the approach I pushed that myself away from that when I try to run games, and I just like being part of the experience, and I'm attached to the characters that I've created. You know, like I enjoy playing them. I enjoy playing Simonov and Asimov, Mr. Henry, the organizer of the borough, Ben, the anarchist newspaper journalist. Who else? I got tons of characters. I got Josephine, the leader of the Doctors Without Borders in Montreal. I've got the big evil guy, Samson, who captured the party and almost tortured them once. Who else we got? We got the bartender from Cafe Vanessa. Catherine, the church-going medic. Lots of these really fun characters that I get to interact with the party with. That's my favorite thing, is interacting with my party members with these characters.
I
Not
like
so much like telling stories. Pardon?
I like surprising them with stuff, like coming up with a twist that they just don't. They're like, "What?"
That was it. That's it. That's the funnest thing. When they were basically, they had the deal for the car set and done. They shook on it. They were drinking champagne, and as I said, I had everybody roll perception or roll vision to notice that there were ripples in the champagne from a sound coming from somewhere, and they all freaked out, and that was such an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah, I hate it though when you set that stuff up. You work on it for weeks, and it goes over like Nathan Lane coming out as gay to his mom, and she's like, "Okay, where did you have cancer?" Like they already all knew. And
Yeah, no one cared.
It kind of really sucks when he goes downhill. You're like, man, I was really looking forward to everybody look on their face. They kind of figured it out.
Well, there's been a few big twists. The first big reveal was when they fought this thing. Like in this world, there's irradiated animals called altered beasts, and I took that from an album by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They have an album called Murder of the Universe, and the first chapter of that album, it's a concept album, is about the altered beast, and it's this. The way that they describe things, I was really inspired, so I went ahead and created my own nightmare creature out of. It was an amalgamation of human body, so it's just like all these people fused together into one ball of flesh.
Oh, that's just wonderful.
Yeah, it was horrifying. It attacked them with pillars of meat and like that had mouths on it, and tendrils that would spew out of the eyes of the multiple heads it had, that would connect to your eyes and feed you optical information and pull you in. And when you got close enough, its ribs would open up and swallow you whole. Like it was super fucked up. And
that's just cheery.
yeah, it was great. It was so great. They were so scared. And we had, you had one guy. Basically, the party composition was this: they had Paul, the religious and charitable man who wields an AK, firing at it just every round, 3 rounds into this creature. You had Mac, who was who got she's a medic and a psychologist. She got tendrils in her eyes and was having to fight with it with her mind. Simonov was also caught, and Joe the Butcher was just trying to cut the tendrils with his knives to save everybody, and Hudson was firing at it too with his pistol. One other unique thing about these altered beasts is they drink blood, so they take the iron from the blood and synthesize armor with it. So every other shot would like bounce off or something like that.
Oh man,
it's a really cool encounter. I created a really
be
cool creature, and it was a hell of a boss fight. They were like crawling through the because it was inside a pool. They were crawling through the pool, and there were bodies everywhere with their eyes melted out, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is going on? What is this?" And even before they got into the building, the session where they just scoped out the building, so you hear a rhythmic booming coming from like every few seconds, just coming from the door, emanating, and the boom was the pulsating, all the hearts pulsating really hard. Just gross shit like that. I love body horror, and One of my favorite movies is The Thing. I don't know if you've seen it.
I generally don't see much horror, but yeah, you can really do some interesting stuff with that.
It was a lot of fun. Good way to introduce the Altered Beast as a real threat, because I got another one coming. Joe the Butcher and Simonov went hunting together, and they were right about to shoot a deer, but then this bear creature it looked like it had a man fused to it, was like started sprinting at it on 2 legs, killed the deer, ate it, and then started running at them, and they managed to escape. But it's gonna show up again. It's gonna follow them back to NDG and kill Joe's father, and that's gonna be his personal arc, because everybody has a little personal story. Yeah. So Paul's personal story is that one of the churches in the wasteland has gone rogue, and he's going to have to go investigate what's going on there with the party. Hudson, he's got to figure out, he was a former teacher. He's going to figure out what happened to his class of students. They're all being held captive at a not a roller derby, but like an amusement park. One of our local amusement parks here in Montreal. Mac, her wife is missing, and her wife is a Federalist soldier. So she's off fighting one of the wars going on to the south of the city, and she goes missing, and they're gonna have to find her. And yeah, that's all of them. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Just thought I'd let you know that this live stream is sponsored by Bee Cheese. I just made it up. I'm not going to give her any sponsors, but what the heck? It's Bee Cheese. It's so ducky here on StreamYard.
You get to see all the wires in the background there for a sec.
Okay.
Just went to get some water. I'm very excited for the this campaign when it reaches its the first kind of major plot arc, which is forming the borough state. Going to be very interesting, because when the party was looking to train the militia for the borough, they stumbled across they found a guy to do it, but he was just wallowing away in self-pity, because the last time he organized a militia for the border skirmish between the AGM and the Federalists, all of the student militia basically died, and he said never again, never again. So what they had to do was go back to the library, find the war records, because instead of like the way they decided to honor those who died in combat was to talk to the survivors and find out what happened. So they got to read. I was inspired to do this because of the Irish during the Irish Civil War. They did this as well. There's the War Records Museum, and there's firsthand accounts of things like the Battle of Mount Street Bridge. So they went to the library. They found out what happened. But more importantly, one of the documents they found was how to deal with enemy armor, because the Federalists are the only faction that has access to military-grade vehicles. Well, they read it, and one of these vehicles is going to show up for the final battle, ship Coyote, armed with a 25mm autocannon and reactive armor.
Oh.
Very, very powerful vehicle.
Yep.
Turns people into dust in seconds, so they're going to have to deal with that. But more importantly, what's really cool is after all that, there's going to be a citywide struggle to reactivate one of the hydroelectric dams that we have across the province to power the city. That will ultimately determine the fate of the island. So that'll be really interesting to plan out. I'm going to have like a raider gang controlling it or something like that, like living there. And then no one's kind of strong enough to deal with them. So they're going to have to try to get everyone to come together and work together to liberate it and put it to good use. Everyone's kind of got their own ulterior motives. The MRQ wants to restart bullet production. The Federalists want to power the train lines and unite all of Canada again. The AGM wants to power water filtration systems in the city. And the Syndicate, well, they don't really care about anything but money. So,
Yeah.
so it's a pretty, it's a good world. What I like is that there's real history to draw off of, because it takes place in a real world in a city that we're all familiar with and live in, but it's different.
Oh,
So
yeah.
People have been responding to that.
It's even better if that city has a lot of history to it. That also really helps. Like
Yeah,
where I live
Montreal's
right now, there isn't jack for history here. I mean, there is, but not as much as back in East.
Older cities. Montreal's like 400 years old, Like we got,
Yeah.
and there's like we got a pretty famous metro system here. Like everybody, the metro, and I haven't touched on that in the game yet. And the reason I haven't touched on it yet is because it's going to be part of Mac's backstory, where her wife is actually hiding in the metro tunnels after escaping the conflict zone. And that's where you go if you don't want to be found, is the metro tunnels. That's going to be sweet.
Makes sense.
I don't know. I'm thinking of also running the tank game sequel, but I don't know how long that'll be until that gets ready. Because they kind of left it kind of randomly. Like they defeated the main bad guy, who was their own tank platoon commander. And I was thinking maybe having them being put on trial for killing their platoon commander and escaping during the chaos of an insurrection or of some kind. I always find a way to put interesting politics into my games. Might as well.
So I'm just double checking something here.
No worries.
Oh, who watching now?
We got people watching?
That's probably me. Are you watching it?
Yeah, I'm technically watching it, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably just us watching each other.
That's fine.
That's what I told somebody. I said, you plan on making a lot of money. And I said, I don't plan on making a dime on this. Between the fact I'm doing 2 subjects, one of which is not friendly for advertisement in the slightest. Sidoro. Hey, Sidoro. Glad you got here, man.
Hello, Sidoro. I don't know who that is, but I'm assuming they're friend.
Yeah, he's listened to a number of leftist podcasts. I mean, not podcasts.
Very cool.
YouTube. He was over on EJ's channel once, and he's listened to mine a few times. So,
well, I'll show him the book I got. It's a critique of Lenin from the perspective of a libertarian Marxist. Very good stuff.
Yep. Hey, if you got any... Oh, sorry. Apparently Sidoro's a she, so...
Comrade, sorry.
Sorry, ma'am. Yep, comrade, that's better. That's truly the only really gender-neutral thing that we've got.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I call people comrade all the time. Yeah, man, it's great.
So, Comrade Sidoro, you got any questions? Which would tell me if somebody were typing in there. That would actually be pretty decent.
That would be ideal, yeah.
But it's YouTube, so we know it's not ideal anyway. We're not bored, just we're really tired. We both had I had like a super migraine on Thursday. Like it was like you take every single symptom. I had the one right after another, after another, after another.
Yuck.
I still have a huge headache from it.
I'm just completely drained, honestly, if I had to tell the truth. Like I finished work, I was supposed to go pick up some pot, and the guy was like, "Oh, well, I'm not coming anymore. Sorry." I was like, "Oh, all right. No big deal. Not the end of the world for me. Just a bummer because I had to drive, and I hate driving."
Yeah.
GURPS and socialism, pretty much.
Yeah. I do believe Comrade Sidoro's a anarchist. I do believe, at least anarchist leaning, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. We just finished talking about this game that I'm running. It's a post-apocalyptic game that takes place in my home city. So, and all the players also live there. So it's really cool. Really interesting dynamic. Anarcho-communist, very cool.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I posted on one of my videos that just say what games you like and what's your bent. Doesn't matter what it is. Just spill the beans. And
Well, yeah, I'm excited to read this book. As I GURPS for a while now. GURPS is pretty sweet. Like I've heard some criticisms that it can be ableist, but you don't have to play with those disadvantages. It's because they ascribe a value judgment onto disabilities and things like that. So like, or not a value judgment, like a value judgment. So I've heard that, but like, you can navigate around those things. It's not the end of the world. GURPS is really a game where you can kind of like pick and choose what you want to put in your game. So if you want a character to have a disadvantage that doesn't cost any points, for instance, if I was to make like myself in a GURPS game, right? Like I'd be like, okay, I have these mental health things, but I don't want them to be to have a point value. Yeah. I don't want them to have a point value.
I always put it like this: is like you can make it like a quirk, or just slowly. And I say it this way: just because there's a number on it doesn't mean it's worse or better or anything. It's merely an in-game way of measuring how much it affects your character game balance wise, not real life or anything like that.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. It's an old game, so I wouldn't be surprised if it whatever, but like it holds up. I think it holds up pretty well.
Oh yeah, I think it holds up awesomely. I really do. I really, really do. And I like the fact that it's a very realistic bent game system, because I'm really sick and tired of these game systems that like nothing wrong with 5th edition, but I don't like character classes anymore. I really don't.
That was my biggest. That was the biggest thing that drew me to GURPS. I was like, no classes, dope. That's awesome. No more being shoehorned into being like, if you want to play a soldier, you don't have to be this like everything orientated towards combat. You can just have your rifle skill, your throwing skill for grenades, and then whatever else. You want to also be a botanist, bro? You got it. You can do it.
Yeah, like an old TSR game called Scavengeers, which I really liked. I've been working converting everything basically, but with my wife being in and out of the hospital and stuff, it was just so hard to do. But it's so easy to convert stuff to GURPS for the most part, unless it's like Scion the RPG. We were playing gods. That's about the only thing that it really can't.
You end up with like 1,000-point characters, and it kind of gets ridiculous.
Did you see the last thing Sidoro said?
No.
Abolish class means a lot different things on this channel.
Yeah.
Got a point, Conrad. I didn't think of that.
You'll be happy, Sidoro. In my post-apocalyptic world, there are certain neighborhoods in Montreal that are very left-leaning, and specifically, there's a political party called Québec Solidaire, which is got some anarchists in it. It's got some communists. It's interesting as a left unity project. But these communities after the apocalypse organize mutual aid networks and survive that way, and eventually grow to the point where they control territory. And the party's been working with them for a few things, but yeah, it's interesting because I got to put some of my own politics into the game, and in a way that's not shoehorned or gross. But they definitely like. Hold on, let me read one of their communiques. Ben, the character Ben, handed them a flyer when they went to go see the militia guy I was talking about earlier. Is it in the campaign? Yes, it is. Before the Logi problem, before going dark, before the raid. We are fed up of aggression, fed up of a world disillusioned with itself, fed up of a zombified wasteland, the most massive meat-grinding machine, its single-track mind of kill or be killed. Without knowledge and wisdom, we'll fall into the realm of obscurity, and our story will end. And we think that's worth fighting against with our lives. As students, we faced poverty wages, increasing rent, raises in tuitions and fees, frustrations for organizing on our behalf. And now, thanks to the very instrument of oppression, we've had the apocalypse weaponized against us. For the very institution of higher learning has been brought to its knees. Well, we call for a university of the street. We call for a sphere of social learning. The student is an insurgent in the war against ignorance. But first, comrades, we must not let those nodes of knowledge fall into the hands of those new servants of capital. We shall declare a permanent state of learning, whose prominence will outlive us. So that was like the communique of the geography department militia that they Dove organized, and it was pretty cool. Turned some heads.
Yeah.
I read this book called Out of the Ruins, and it's all about informal learning spaces and a radical pedagogy. It was really cool. It was pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. It was nice. Yeah, that was a really cool. That was a really great session. The session where the players were going to the library. They got to read. They basically got to learn the whole story of what happened. Basically, it starts off with them talking about how, patrols are boring. Sometimes we loot bodies. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we take people's IDs so that when the Federalists show up and they gotta fucking identify the corpses, they can't. It's a pain in the ass, blah blah blah. But eventually it turns hot, and the battle for the gay village starts, and an armored vehicle shows up, pushes them into a building, and they fight floor by floor until the top floor, and they're cornered until reinforcements finally show up and save them. But out of the 110 militia members, only 7 survive. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Oh, I just want to say something on the channel, but specifically to Sidoro. Comrade, I'm going to try to do these. I do believe your time when we start is 10 o'clock, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's, and if you could spread that to anybody that wants to watch this stuff. And we could talk about other games in GURPS, but that's kind of my forte. I mean, I know other ones, but I just honestly really prefer GURPS. Heck, I'd even be willing to play 4th edition GURPS. That is, some GURPS is better than no GURPS.
GURPS is all I know how to play. I mean, all I know how to run. So it's the only thing I have experience running and talking about. It's the only thing I have really fondness for. Wouldn't really want to run. If I wanted to run fantasy, I'd just run Dungeon Fantasy with GURPS.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it any other way.
Where you wanted to run something, I actually do have that. I got that because I wanted the equipment list from Dungeon Fantasy, because the one in the 3rd edition Player's Handbook just royally sucks.
Yeah. But GURPS 4th and 3rd are pretty much compatible with each other. Just like the rate of
they're similar. They're similar. They're similar enough that if you've played one, you can play the other.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the strength on the HD switch was really good. The one thing that I really liked was the way they handled automatic fire. So much better in GURPS 4th. You don't have to deal with all these groups anymore and seeing which ones hit and whatnot. It's just one roll, done. They managed to
Yeah,
make it
there were
simple.
things I liked. I liked the strength, and I liked how they handled extra long lives. Because I'm sorry, when you've got a character that should be paying for their lifespan like 20 points, character points, and a natural unaging is 15, that's a little insane.
Yeah. Well, there's. Yeah. It'd be like that sometimes. One thing that I also really liked was the change from if you had like a disadvantage that had a like a save or something in it. If you had high IQ, it just like didn't matter.
Oh
You
yeah,
could resist like super easy. You know, I got a character with 13 IQ, and but all of his delusions and all that stuff, his save is like super low because he said it like that. I find that's a much better way to actually like.
oh yeah, yeah. Because it's like somebody's like, well, if you're really smart, you could resist that stuff. No. Have you ever been around geniuses? No.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking unstable.
Yeah, yeah. I love Trump, the whole stable genius. Have you ever met one? No, they aren't. And he sure as heck wasn't stable, but he wasn't a genius either.
Sidoro, GURPS. So GURPS is pretty front heavy, so there's a lot to read and a lot to take in. But once you start to play, it's really easy.
Yeah.
You can always, what I always did, I read GURPS Lite first. Great introduction to the system. So you read GURPS Lite, then you can take a look at the GURPS basic set and kind of skim through it. You know, I haven't even finished the entire GURPS basic set. I just reference it when I need to. And I've been running GURPS for about 2 years now. So with that, it's not so bad. It runs on a pretty simple mechanic. There's only 3 kinds of rolls in GURPS. There's success rolls, damage rolls, and reaction rolls.
Yeah.
So success rolls, anytime you want to do something, you got to roll a success roll. That includes your attacks or any attempts you make with your skills. Damage, pretty self-explanatory. And reaction rolls are for the GM, and they're optional. I don't always use them.
But then what do you use when they first interact with somebody? Just
when there's like it'll depend. So like if there's a faction reason, like when they meet a guard, he's always going to be pissed off and he's always going to try to shake them down. If they meet a doctor, they're going to be probably more open to help. Like they banged on this doctor's door like at
1 in the morning.
super late. Like it was like 3. It was after a raid. One of the players got shot jumping into a car. So they doctor was stunned but willing to help because they're a doctor and they have the Hippocratic Oath and things like that. So if it's a random NPC, like I'll use it, but I don't use it all the time. I would say I would use it about 30% of the time I have an NPC show up. You know, most people, I kind of am of the opinion that people are good, and that in crisis situations, like you can see the best of people sometimes. I know everyone says you see the worst, but you also see the best. You know, you see anarchists and during Hurricane Katrina providing mutual aid to people who are impacted by that disaster before you have first responders there. So
I think what it comes down to is whatever kind of person you're going to be. That's what it came to like D&D alignment. I was like, you know, they're like, oh, D&D alignment's so bad. I go, this is how I do it. If on the spot of the moment, you have to make a decision where your morals stand, that's your alignment.
Yeah.
Not when you have time to think about it. Not, I mean, like, boom. Oh, I'm doing this all for me. Forget you. I'm out of here. Or I'll help. I don't care if it kills me. You know, that's how I put it.
Yeah, and I like how in GURPS there is no alignment. There's just how you roleplay your character. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you can still not really have an alignment, but you can have like a I don't know. I don't want to say personality, but ethos, I guess, or something.
Well, your own personal ethics, right? Like, for instance, Mac, the character Mac, has, you know, she took the Hippocratic Oath. She's a doctor, but she's also very, she's compassionate and a little nurturing, like when they found lost kids, she was the one who stepped up and was like, "Don't worry, we'll find your parents and things like that." Like yada 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 yada. Another example is Hudson, who is pragmatic and bohemian, right? So he's kind of just goes with the flow, doesn't ask too many questions, but he's got a sense of morality, right? Because when they transported a human body for organ transplant unknowingly, they found out what it was, and Hudson said, "I'm never doing work for the syndicate again because this is shocking to me, and this crossed the line." Follows with the litter. Yeah, I agree. My paladin in one of the 5e games I play, he's lawful good, but I take that as like he's lawful in the sense that he has a personal code of ethics that he follows very strictly, and he holds himself to those ideals very seriously. Not so much that like the traditional understanding of lawful or what have you for some people.
Sidora, what version of D&D have you been playing? If you don't mind me asking. Anyway. Yeah. Wow, we both are zapped.
Yeah, I'm gonna be yawning all night. Don't worry.
Oh, the second I'm out of here, I'm going to local. I don't know what they call it in Canada. We call them either Stop and Robs, convenience stores,
Depanners.
Yeah, I'm going to the local one. I want to get some water because I got to take my pills for the night, and I'm just sacking out. And if I wake up at noon tomorrow, I do not care.
Yeah. Modified 3.5 later 5e. Pretty much the same for me too. Started with 3.5, then played 5e, and then got into GURPS because I don't know if you heard, but I was looking for a system to run a tank simulator, and found GURPS vehicles and was like, oh, very interesting. So, and the whole ethos of you can do anything with GURPS was like, great. I have a crazy brain that wants to do crazy things with a TTRPG, and this is the system for it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm even like that tank game is going to get so weird because the tank game, the first campaign was like a very gritty, realistic World War II kind of scenario, right? But the sequels are going to have occultism, maybe even a little bit of magic. More pulp, more pulp and things like that. Like one of it would be episodic, like maybe 5-6 episode arcs. So one of them was going to be that the Valkyrians are trying to open up a portal to hell, and demons are going to start spawning out. They're going to have to use their tank to battle demons and stuff like that, and figure out how to close the hell mouth. Another one was going to be a Black Ops campaign where they were going to have to sneak in and steal replacement parts and things like that. Who knows? But that's a long ways away from now. Can't really dedicate time to thinking about that campaign when I'm currently writing and building, one right now. So.
Oh, we should be able to grab that purple pillow my wife had.
It's a good pillow.
It's something I got for her, and it was like she used it in her wheelchair, and man, that thing was so comfortable. The problem is I'm sitting on this really metal, hard chair.
Yeah, my back is hurting from work all day on the concrete. Oh my god.
So, Comrade Sidora, how's your awesome day been? You may hear a meow every once in a while from this side because I got a cat. But I would love to, though. Then again, as I'm a third edition GURPS guy, I really would love to sit down and crank out a GURPS newcomer.
That would be interesting.
But I might put out a few years in the future, though, to up the tech a bit. Because let's be honest, who wants to play in a same tech world than being a boring human? I mean, really, it's not
Yeah.
not everybody's into that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think it'd be awesome. Because we did that. We did a bunch of campaigns like that. But not everyone's into that.
I've been thinking about running for my school a campaign that takes place in the 19th century during the early labor movement.
Ooh.
So that would be really cool, like as an educational piece, to help get into grad school. I was thinking that could be really unique, and it's not quite modern tech, but it's getting there. But I've never heard of a game. Excuse me. Plus, I get to fanboy roleplay Karl Marx. Like, come on. If it's taking place in England in the 1870s, it's like, fuck, you get to talk to Granddaddy Marx. Have the players interact with that dude. That'd be sick.
I want to see if I don't know if you've ever. I don't know how much you've seen about. Let's see if I can find it.
Vampire the Masquerade game in that period. Yeah, that would be really good. 19th century vampires. Pretty sick stuff.
Okay.
Apparently Vampire the Masquerade is pretty sweet. I got a group that's playing it right now, although I'm not fond of the GM, so I just didn't.
Yeah, the actual system's not bad. It's great for actors and just storytelling. It's not very crunchy as opposed to like GURPS in a sense, but
the guy who runs it's like kind of a conservative, so I was like,
yeah, that kind of bums it out too.
Yeah, he has some interesting opinions about why black people are poor in the States. So,
oh come on.
Yeah, he's got some interesting opinions. But I remember fucking screaming at him at my brother's house, being like, "You're fucking dumb, bro." See this guy getting frustrated.
Yeah, my response would be, how many times did your parents hit you on the head on purpose to make you like this?
Yeah, well, he also, as a bit of a military historian myself, yeah, gross is the exact thing I would put. But he's Greek, and he's like, "Oh, the Greeks fended off the Nazis, grandmas with bolt action rifles." I said, "That's not how it happened at all, my friend. They had the British Army to help them, and modern armor and things like that, and yada yada yada." He's just a dude. He's not a great dude. So I didn't want to play with him or his friends.
I can't blame you.
My brother's old roommate is like this purportedly left-wing dude, but he's friends with a guy who wears an iron cross ring.
Dang it.
Yeah, kind of sketchy.
I could have. So. No, I'm trying to look for something. Stalin is definitely not Stalin, but Lenin's definitely 20th century.
I can't wait to read this book and start beefing with Leninists.
The one I have. I can't remember what's in that book, but I can always look.
Yes, they did take over Greece eventually.
Yeah. It took a while.
After the Civil War. Fun fact, the first use of napalm was on the Greek communists fighting the Civil War. Yes. Technically a precursor to napalm was used on German cities in Berlin, specifically in Berlin, but it wasn't true napalm. The first use of real napalm was in Greece. The more you know. Greece is interesting, man. I've been playing this game called Tonight We Riot. I highly recommend it to everybody who plays video games. It's a pixelated beat-em-up side-scroller where you start as a riot leader and you control a group of rioters. You like throw bricks and Molotovs and things like that at your opponents. And what's great is you get that. What was the name of that Greek riot dog?
Which Greek war riot?
Well, there was this dog that would show up at the riots in Greece in 2008.
I don't remember what you're talking about. Of course, then again, my memory's total crap. So
here we go.
I hate that.
Lukanikos. He was this Greek riot dog that participated in almost every anti-austerity protest in Greece during 2008. He would bark at police, help in the street battles. He's pretty great. So he shows up in the game and assists you for every now and then, and he's pretty badass. He really rips the cops apart. It's a fun game, man. It's really fun. I think you would get a kick out of it because there's a lot of like good, like at one point the cops go, "Oh shit, so much for the tolerant left, eh, boys?" And then he gets a brick, like.
Yeah. No, we're not the tolerant left.
No.
Those are the liberals you complain about. We're worse.
Yeah, we're a lot worse.
We actually like getting things done. They just sit around contemplating, as my dad would say, contemplating their navel all day long.
Yeah. Plus, and I love the joke where if you go far enough left, you get your guns back. we talked about that last time. Yeah,
that is kind of funny. I never thought it because I actually was under the really big misnomer until recently that if you went to the left, you just lost all your guns, and that was it. And I started out when I married my wife being really conservative, and I'm like, I don't want to leave my guns. I want to leave. And I was like, okay, gun control's okay. And then I watched the EJ's dialectic where it had two African American guys on there going, no, you don't want gun control. It is bad for us. We are going to get screwed if there's gun control. They're not going to take it away from the white boys. They're going to take it away from us.
Yeah.
I loved how Meghan McCain would whine about how California doesn't let you have assault rifles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's because the governor and the NRA worked together to make sure that the Black Panthers couldn't have guns.
Here's a Karl Marx quote for you. This is a pretty popular one. Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempts to disarm the workers must be frustrated by force if necessary.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, oh, because I was in the U.S. military and they told us all sorts of crap.
Yeah, Sidoro, you got it.
What?
Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. She posted the quote.
Thank you, Sidoro. Thank you very much. I love that quote.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
But unfortunately, in America, guess who gets credit for it? Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. There's another really good quote from Marx that I love. Where is it here? I think it's at the end of the German ideology somewhere. Yeah, communism is for us not a state of affairs which is to be established, an ideal to which reality will have to adjust itself. We call communism the real movement which abolishes the present state of things. The conditions of this movement result from the premises now in existence. I think that's one of the most important quotes from Marx, because it talks about communism as movement, as not as ideology. It's like very important for me, at least.
That's completely different.
Yeah, 100%, right? So like this whole thing about it's not a state of affairs to which is to be established. No. It's the real movement that abolishes the present state of things, that abolishes the social relations that alienate us from our labor and from ourselves.
And from all the pizza. No. I was just thinking of pizza. Sorry, it just popped in my head. Can't help myself.
No worries.
But yeah, no. And I think one of the other biggest problems that we have on the left is we don't know each other. I mean, that sounds crazy, but I think that's a real big problem. You could easily dismiss somebody on the internet or on Twitter. I mean, Twitter's on the internet, or on any like text format. But if you're actually sitting face to face somebody, it's a little bit different.
Right.
Somebody's gonna be a jerk. They're gonna be a jerk no matter what.
Right. Like I know some dickish communists. Like one who told me if I wasn't part of Fight Back, I was just a crazy yelling in the street. I was like, okay, fucking jackass. Like, there's some others that I don't like. This one guy I went to school with, he just fucking rubs me the wrong way. I remember I was really righteously inebriated, and he was talking to me about something, and I said, look, I got to go inside. I'm kind of freaking out. And he's like, no, let me finish talking first. This is a good point I have. It's like, dude, I'm freaking out. I need to leave. I need to go somewhere safe. So he's supposed to be on the left, but he didn't respect my boundaries at all. So not chill, dude.
Yeah.
But
That is
if
a
the
problem.
revolution comes, you know, you got to make deal with these people. Not if, sorry, when
Yeah.
the revolution comes. But I have a feeling a lot of these people, like he was really in it for the what's the word, the clout,
Yeah.
I think, to fit in. Don't know how leftist this guy actually is. There aren't that many leftists. When I joined the department, it was kind of already on the way out, and now years later, it's the department is devoid of any actual radical politics. We used to have. It's really hard for me to find leftist IRL beyond just vague anti-capitalist. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to live in a big city where we can congregate, but I've never met anyone else that holds my personal persuasion. Yeah, it isn't enough because Gilles Daudet kind of talks about this, right? When you look at fascism or anti-fascism, rather, like if your anti-fascism isn't socialist, then the problem you creates a feedback loop, right? Because you would have the anti-fascists who are liberal in this context, anyways, was trying to restore a system that gave birth to fascism in the first place. So you just end up with this feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
So you're anti-capitalism, sure, you can be angry at capitalism all you want, but if you're not, in the business of, maybe not the best word, but if you're not in the mindset to organize against it or organize to supersede it, there's
You're not going to do
no
anything.
substance there, right?
Yeah.
EndNotes talks about the importance of form and content being unified together. So if you're anti-capitalist in form but not in content, there's a problem. You can't replace one with the other.
Yeah, because if you just say, I want to get rid of capitalism and just replace it with somebody else's capitalist, it really doesn't do much good.
Right, you end up because the whole goal is to change social relations. That's the entire point of everything that we're doing, right? So if you don't change the social relations, you're keeping the worker in the same position they were in before. That's Panakowicz's big critique of the Soviet Union, if I recall correctly. The lack of the transition or transformation of social relations. And for Sidorov, if you're curious, that's sort of my position, right? I'm big into communization theory. This idea that you have a revolution that produces communism, not its preconditions. So no, I'm a Marxist, yeah, but I don't agree with this idea of a period of transition of the dictatorship of the proletariat, which Marx mentions only a handful of times in his entire catalog of writing, I might add, and a few other things. So it sets me apart from a lot of the traditional, like Bolshevik style Marxists, who, in my opinion, are poo-poo caca. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand. I think part of the problem is this: some areas would handle it better if they had a structure, and some don't.
Right. The problem is that now that we have mass media capitalism pretty much on every corner of the earth, like the possibility for this kind of struggle exists, right? Panakowic argues in his pamphlet, Marxist Theory and Revolutionary Tactics, that the era of, like, this was written in 1910, that mass action, not just union action or party action, mass action has become a viable tactic because the masses have grown so large, or the urban masses have grown so large. and that you can use the mass action as a revolutionary strategy to overcome capitalism. So he's approaching the point. He's not quite there yet, but he's approaching the point. I think he picks that up later, and it will take another 20 years after he dies before the situationists go, we need to interrupt the system and replace it with something actually liberatory. That's a process, not a specific moment in time that you designate as a revolution. So that's really important to see here. I think more people my age and younger are left. So, Sadoro, that's a really interesting point. Dove also talks about this. He says that, workers are, like, after the 70s, we're dissatisfied with the unions. We're dissatisfied with the political system that we live in. And we're distrustful of any organization. So this move towards communization is really pertinent because it allows us to organize outside of all of these spheres, and in a way that is actually, that could actually produce communism.
And get results quickly.
Just get results in general. Like Dove says that the revolution can last a long time. So, I mean, who knows? But as long as you're actually out there transforming social relations through your actions, like, I give a big thumbs up. But the conditions that are already in existence allow for this kind of struggle to take place. It wasn't previously possible because we didn't have mass media. We with computers now, so much more is possible for our struggle. The amount of globalization that's happened, all this stuff. The suburbs have become how are we going to deal with the suburbs? Like, what's the Marxist take on suburbs? About the possibility for change there, because they're here and they make up in Canada 90% of the population is suburban. So there's this book I read from a professor at Concordia where I go to school, who wrote about the post-metropolis and how surveillance and things like that are all coming into the suburbs, and these areas are going to be designated as part of the struggle in coming years, and it's important for us to harness that energy and that frontier of battle, per se, for our cause, and not let them slide into just petty neoliberalism. Sadoro, I like to think that the youth are more leftist than ever, but the youth I know and work with are disgusting. So they don't give me faith. But if you're saying that your age and younger are more leftist than ever, I'm going to be hopeful and try to believe that.
I think they are, but I think part of the problem is this.
I'm not even that old,
and I hate saying this, but there's nobody out there to lead them. I think initially, once there's a few leaders out there, enough to get people DID in the direction you need to go, because it's like in D&D. The first time you play D&D or even any RPG, you don't know that you can just go out and do stuff. You have no idea.
Yeah, someone needs to take the first step. There's energy there, but it's like Sadoro said, it's not being directed.
Yeah. That's the problem.
And it was true in the 60s too, when the situationists wrote on the poverty of student life. There was all this rage, but nowhere to direct it. Well, that's the beauty of insurrection, right? Like it starts in one place. It's kind of like music. It starts in one place. It resounds, sends shockwaves through the state cartography, hits another node, and resounds differently there. It doesn't spread like a fire. It's really like music. So you just the spark needs to start somewhere, and once it does, all that's important is sustaining it. Any kind of riot, whatever it is, will start something. And as soon as you start to sustain the movement, you're producing communism. That's what's important. And I think, you don't have to read theory to know this. You don't have to be super educated to understand this. You don't have to do tons of pre-reading to get involved. It's actually what's happening. So, there's people like me who read. For me, my thing is to spread it out, but to agitate, to articulate. Right? You have to try to help direct that energy somewhere positive.
I want to be somebody that doesn't necessarily, because I know enough to blow my nose, and that's about it. That's the power level of what I know. But I know I like what I know.
Right.
and I want to make sure more people hear about it and more discussion gets brought up about it.
The dialectical process must not stop. And the
Yeah.
conditions will let people play. Spend so much time trying to feed yourself. Yeah, that's Lenin's argument for why the Vanguard needs to exist. That kind of scares me. But at the same time,
Yeah.
like if you're spending all this time trying to feed yourself, and you hear that there's an insurrection happening in your city, like what you should do is go join it and learn
Yeah.
on the job, so to speak. And yeah,
You do that. I'm
don't
going to
let
look for a GURPS book. Just give me. You keep on talking. I'm going to look for a specific GURPS book.
Okay. Yeah, like don't let a class of revolutionary specialists dictate the terms of your movement, because you're going to end up short-handed and screwed over for sure by careerists and milieus. Yeah, we gotta be careful.
Yes.
Lessons from the past, yes. Dove talks about that also. The lessons from the past, how we actually don't. Gotta find food. I feel you. I brought home food from work.
In the GURPS second edition, but third edition GURPS, there's a well, it used to be, they changed it for this version, but in the old version, it was, why do people follow evil empires? It says support rotten empires, basically the same thing. But what it boils down to is this, is people fear the unknown. They're afraid of, that's like in my in-laws, they're like, oh yeah, we would have voted for Bernie, but we know that Trump would have won. I'm like, how do you know that?
Right.
And I know what it is. It boils down to, and I love them to bits. I really do. They're scared of change.
Well, so when I was taking urban planning courses, like the community strives for three things: stability, security, and sustainability. If those three conditions are met, you can have a community. And so for a lot of people, the status, like, they're comfortable with what exists because it's what they know.
Yeah.
So this fear of the unknown is the problem, right? This plunge. But for me, there's something exciting about that. There's something exciting about the unknown. I have this on, well, where is it? Yeah, right back there's my record player. On top of that, I have an essay I wrote, but underneath that is a little cloth piece of art of these guys running from the cops. And they go, "Quickly, comrade, the old world is right behind you." That's the ethos I want to put out, get excited about the possibility of making something new, get excited about
right
the
now we don't have a
possibilities.
whole lot of choice. If we don't make something new, stuff's going to happen to us.
Yeah, I mean, the capitalist machine will just keep churning out bodies, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Oh. I think my brother's supposed to come on here and watch soon, but I don't know. He's an interesting fellow. He's studying public sector economics, and I don't know if I describe him as a revolutionary, but he's definitely on the left.
He likes some ideas.
More that he agrees generally. Like I don't think he's read a lot of Marx, but what happened is my mom had a burnout from work. They totally screwed her over really bad, and that is what changed his perspective on capitalism, for sure. Generally speaking, when we talk about this shit, he's anti-capitalist, I would say. Would I say he's a communist? I don't think so, but he's definitely anti-capitalist, and that's enough for me. He's my brother. I mean, he's in a band with me, and all the lyrics are about communism, and he's A-okay with it, so whatever. Speaking of which, I'll read the lyrics to the song I wrote.
Cool.
War of Position documents. They were called War of Position. It's a Gramsci concept. So the first line is a nod to the Situationists and what they wrote on the walls of France, or Paris rather, during the 1968 insurrections. So our liberation is all or nothing. The organizing spirit is expressed in mass action. This spirit is the class character of the proletariat, the communizing current. that abolishes present conditions of things, and we as proles carry the means of our liberation. Communism is the real movement that abolishes the social relations, which estranges us from our labor and estranges us from ourselves. The conditions for a revolution exist everywhere capital is in use. It's not a matter of time, it's a matter of distance. How far are you willing to go? How far? I played that, it's so much fun. Holy shit. My other buddy too. My friend, I was at a Canada Day, well, no, it wasn't really Canada Day celebration because fuck that, but we congregated on Canada Day at my buddy's place, and we talked, and my friend brought his girlfriend who's a master's in political science, so she's on a whole other level of just like understanding politics and things like that. She asked me about my political position, right? Because she doesn't know many radicals or whatever, or any for that matter. So as I begin to speak, my buddy cuts me off and goes on a rant about how for him revolution isn't really that important and he's more focused on making small changes. So I was like, buddy, you're kind of a reformist. And then he got upset at me. Like, he's like, oh no, I'm firmly on the left. I'm like, yeah, but like, you're not a revolutionary, but you hold all these revolutionary. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I was a little peeved. Mostly probably because I was cut off, but I wanted to talk about revolution some more.
I personally think in the United States. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm always in the business of trying to proliferate the ideas to the fellow proletariats.
Yeah, in America, I firmly believe the only way this is going to really work, and I don't want to say it's small changes, it's slow, but class consciousness here is probably an all-time low in America that it's ever been. I mean, we just got to get the message out. I mean, somebody's like, well, let's just go do revolution. I'm like, you're going to look like an idiot and you're going to get the rest of us knocked off.
No, yeah, exactly.
You got to talk to people. It's like, I hate saying it's like being a politician, but it kind of is. You got to get your word out and your message out of what you're going to do, except we actually want to do stuff. We want to get results.
Well, yeah, do the actions that, like, why I think anarchists have taken a frontline position in the struggle in the 21st century. I said before, because they're dynamic and because they're just the theory that they've been producing has been good, and it is with the times. You know, it's not like it's 20 years late or whatever to the party. So when anarchists actually go out and do things, they're showing us that anarchism can work. That's the most important thing for me, is that when you go out and you forge these mutual aid networks, you're showing us that, hey, there's another way is possible, and I'm doing it right now. That I think goes further than anything you could say or you know, with rhetoric or whatever. So it's not necessarily playing the game of politics, right? It's really about direct action.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. I'm just not an anarchist myself, but like I would gladly stand hand in hand with them at the barricades, you know.
You like them more than anybody else, really.
Pretty much. Like, I have a lot of fondness for anarchists. I've read quite a few anarchists. I'll vivaciously read anarchist literature. I've done volunteer work for anarchist publishing houses, things like that. You know, like I have fondness for anarchists, almost more so than I do what people call Marxists, because the Bolsheviks are just one kind of Marxist that got exported throughout the world, and now everyone thinks that they're the only Marxist ever to be. And the Trotskyist I was talking to was like, I'm a Marxist. I believe in the dictatorship of the proletariat and the party. He said, well, those aren't Marxist positions. Those are Trotskyist positions, right? So it's like, there's a comic series called Great Moments in Leftism, and there's one comic where it's like a conversation between two Leninists, and they're like, what did Marx say about this? And they go, well, let's find out. And then the next panel is them reading Lenin.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, I don't know. Excuse me.
I named this one the second the second live cast is what I should have named it.
Second broadcast. Well,
First one was, well, there was first a EJ helped me with the first one to make sure my stuff actually worked because I wasn't sure it was going to.
right.
But then it turned out I had like 1 or 2 programs on I didn't need. And it was like, okay, cool. Oh, it works. Awesome. So, yeah.
Are you using OBS Studio?
No, I tried using OBS and it gave me the middle finger. So I'm using the Ducky one, StreamYard.
I use OBS because I streamed a music performance. I had to use virtual audio cables to send the audio from my software to the stream. Basically, I had all my music stuff going into my computer, into my recording software suite, so I can mix everything, add effects, things like that I needed. The problem is you can't really get it out of the software unless you use a virtual audio cable. So you send all the audio from the software, the audio recording software, through the cable into OBS, and then you broadcast from there on Twitch. That's what I did. Just because I didn't know what StreamYard. I might start using this.
I like StreamYard. It's kind of idiot proof. At least EJ helped me through it enough where it feels like it is. So now I'm a computer person, don't get me wrong, but this software, I've never, until like literally 3 months ago, I really didn't even consider streaming live.
Yeah, I didn't really think I would do it either. I thought this whole thing was bogus. But then I was like, oh man, I can't play music for people right now. How can I do that? So I did it on stream. Hooked everything up. You can see all the wires. I call it the Wire Kingdom.
Yeah, sounds appropriate name.
Yeah, there's tons of wire. All my floor is occupied by wires. And cables and stuff like that, and pedals and amps and whatnot. It's pretty wild. But I'm directing most of my political activism through music now, so if I can have a show, and the goal ultimately is to release a demo with a series of essays attached that explain the lyrics more, and to proliferate that, to give them out at shows and things like that. Yeah, like have detailed liner notes, artwork from friends and revolutionaries that I know.
You ever heard of Skylar Sabo?
Nope, that's a cool last name.
Yeah, it's SZABO, I think.
Okay.
SZ is a zebra or Z.
Yeah.
ABO.
I thought it was SABOT, like a Sabo round or something from a tank.
Oh no, it's a Eastern European name, I think.
Okay. I've never heard of this person. What's their deal?
They're a musician too, and they're an anarchist. They've been around a while. EJ knows Skylar.
Okay.
And Skylar's a musician. That's why I mentioned.
There's a really cool anarchist group from Quebec called Tintamarre. And Tintamarre is the act of protest by making loud noise. So something that was popular in Acadie way back when was you would bang pots and pans together outside your house. Everybody in the neighborhood would do it and make a racket. This was echoed during the student protests in 2012 here. They started doing Tintamarre as well. But the music is really good. They have a song called Comment faire dérailler un train, which means how to derail a train. And it's pretty great.
Wow.
It's like folk music, but it's really good. But it's all in French, so I don't know if you'd be interested in that.
I got to sit back for a little while.
No worries.
Oh. Oh, man.
I'm sure the back is sore.
Oh, my back's incredibly sore.
I'm gonna go out, get some water, come back, take all my pills, and sleep for a week, or at least till the point where it feels like I've slept for a week.
Yeah. Did I take my meds today? I don't remember. Oh, yes, I did. Always got to remember.
Yeah, at that point, we know you're an old man where you're discussing your meds with other people.
Yeah, well, I've been on these now for about 4 years. They've helped a lot, so.
Yeah,
Got me through some
my
tough
happy
stuff.
pills work pretty well. They kind of had double the doses after my wife died.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Fuck. What do you want, if I can ask?
I don't know if I can pronounce it. It's Citalopram.
Escitalopram?
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Hey.
I think the brand name is Lexapro. Or Cipralex, one of the two. But I'm on the same.
Yeah.
I'm on 20 milligrams of that. And a little bit of Abilify, just a little bit.
I swore Abilify was a name that Bush W came up with. It sounds like something would come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
It's Abilify me to do things. Like, oh God.
I'm only on a small, like 10 milligrams of that, just a very small amount.
Yeah, I can't be on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'd imagine for the dialysis.
Yeah, because of dialysis, because I can't get rid of any extra. So, but I'm hoping I can drop it down here probably in a little while because I don't want to be on a high dose. I'm on like 20 right now.
Yeah,
and for me that's probably pretty high.
It's actually for Cipralex, it's the maximum therapeutic dose.
Yeah, I kind of want to drop it. I don't want it being that high.
Yeah, understandable. Hopefully it's in the cards for me too, but it's been about 5 years. Longer than 5 years I've been feeling this way with it, like prior to being on them. So, since I was a young teen. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be on them my whole life. Maybe I won't. We'll see.
Yeah.
All I know is they make me feel a lot better, and my mood is much more stable. I used to be so sensitive.
That's why I called them my happy pills. So, but yeah.
It must be a pain in the ass getting all your medicine in the States, man.
Fortunately, I'm a vet.
Oh, right.
And because of that, I can get them at like $8 a prescription a month, regardless of how many I get.
That's cheaper than mine. It's cheaper than mine. If it wasn't for my, because we don't have pharmacare here, but there is a point where if you spend X amount on your drugs in a year, the rest of them will be free.
Yeah, we have the opposite. You spend an X number amount, and the price goes way the hell up.
No, gross.
And then it goes down after you spend $5,000. For people on disability who, if they're lucky, make like $1,000 a month.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's called the donut hole.
Yeah, man, the States. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to call it the bung hole.
For revolution.
It seems to be more appropriate.
Sounds like it. The greedy insurance companies. I think with my Abilify and my Cipralex is about $90 a month, but half of that is covered by my student insurance, and the rest of it is covered by the public insurance that everybody in Quebec has, called RAMQ. So I end up paying about $20 a month for it. Not so bad. $20 a month to keep me happy. I'm freaking out. Oh.
I do want to try to put a third person on here.
My Wi-Fi cut out for a minute.
Okay.
That'd be interesting. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a sec. I'm gonna get more water. I'll be right back.
Sure, I'll be here.
This non stuff going on segment is sponsored by I'm tired as hell. Tired as hell is when you feel like you're tired as hell. Now, do they make Guinness in Canada like they do here in America, or do they ship it from Ireland? I cannot hear you.
I think they ship it from Ireland.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah. Do they make it in the States? I don't know.
I thought they did. All I know is my dad had a friend that wanted to move a block away from the Guinness plant in Ireland. That was his retirement dream. And every guy I've told that to went, dang, that's a smart move. I don't drink that much, so.
Yeah, neither do I. I can't with my medicine. You're not supposed to anyways with antidepressants. Not supposed to mix it with alcohol.
Yeah.
I always end up getting dry mouth and getting hungover really bad, so.
Yeah, that's why I kind of stopped. The hangover was just, I'm over 50. If I get a hangover, it's time for me to hang it up.
Right. That's why I like. That's why I like a little bit of pot here and there. It just you don't get feeling sick after, but must be a pain in the. It's legal here, right? So it's not a pain in the ass.
Sort of.
Oh, it's legal here, but
it's legal in the state that I'm in, but federally it's not. Which basically means if the feds walk up to you and catch you with it, you're screwed. But if the local cops catch you, they're gonna like whatever.
Right.
As long as it's not like over so much, I think.
Same here. You can only have 30 grams on your person or at home. So whatever. That's my usual go-to after work. Have a little bit and relax. Would have had some tonight, but my guy fell through. This guy's requested to follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, there's like plenty of dispensaries in here, where not where I live, but around Arizona.
Okay? I'm just getting tired, man. I think I might call it quit.
I'm tired too, so we're almost at 9 o'clock anyway.
All right, sounds good, man.
Sidaro, sorry you didn't get back, but we are both zonked. We both had a long week. I still got to go out and drive and get some water. So,
oh boy!
But thank y'all. Thank you, Sidoro, for coming by, and more also importantly, Logan, thank you for. I didn't even think. I thought, Logan's not going to be able to come next week. It's not going to happen. And then you're like, oh shit, he is able to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, my Saturday nights are pretty much free. Everyone else I know is like doing something, and like I got nothing going on Saturday nights. So I was gonna say, like, if not tonight, we could have done it some other night.
But I just there's something I want to discuss with you. I thought earlier this week, but my wonderful ADHD brain said, don't write it down. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it.
Well, maybe you'll remember it the next week and we can talk about it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to think of a few things and write them down. And we'll have some more things to discuss. Oh, I did remember something, though. Check out submedia.tv. They're a Quebecois anarchist group that produces media content.
Okay, say that to me again before my brain turns to mush.
Submedia.tv. It's very good, very high quality content.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Really informative. They have an A to Z's on anarchism, like really cool stuff.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I will put that in my favorites because right now I cannot, for the life of me, think that far ahead.
It's all good.
Hey, Sidoro, sorry, but we're both crashing, man. We both had a long week, and we were both exhausted.
Yeah. Sorry, comrade.
Yeah, sorry, comrade. But I wanted to tell you, so you specifically knew. I know I may have mentioned it before. We're trying to do it about the same time, like was it 10 to like midnight your time, Eastern Standard Time? I do believe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So hopefully, now, do you know if you'll be able to do it next week, or you're not sure?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be able to. I'll be able
Okay.
to do it next week.
Okay, thank you, comrade. I really appreciate that.
No
Talking
problem.
to Sidor there. But yeah, share this, please. Please share this. Yeah, the algorithm will not be kind to me at all, us or whatever. So it won't.
No.
I mean, if I had, not that I would do this, but if I had some video like of smacking a no over the head with a tire iron, that probably would get more algorithm time than than what this is. It also sent me to jail, but you know.
All right, my man.
Yep. See y'all.
Take care.
Yep. You too. Bye. Ah.